Hello friends, hello loyal audience, and then this is a continuation on commentary of the commentary on Alien 1979. Today's video will be another follow-up on video number 6 and a couple of videos transitory as well as commentary, retrospect, hindsight commentary. I complained in the last video about two videos being blocked, and I had actually appealed the decision, and it seems like they were okay with that. They made a mistake or something, or it was intentional. I don't know, but these were reinstated. That's video number 6 and the transitory video as well. Okay, so today I'm going to continue to make a follow-up or commentary on video number 6 as well as the other transitory video. So let's continue. Notice so here you're going to watch or you're going to observe Parker here, the fallen angel, being so coward. He pushes Brett forward. He's always his shield, you know, like a human shield. And he pushes him to like places where he and his likes cannot go.
Take a look at this man.
Did you see that? He shoved him forward, right, before him. So now, in case he sees anything wrong, he's gonna make a run for it, and then Brett will get the brunt of the retaliation or whatever first hit or something of the sort.
Right, give me, well, you got a pen there? Give it to me, quick.
Okay, I made a comment on this in the last video or the transitory video about the pen being scripture words, blah blah. You know, this guy being the assassin or Hashashin, right? Which is the occult, right, in the Middle East, and then that spread into Europe and here and there, right? That is true up until now, and I have a second theory, a second possibility, that he is the eraser or will be erased, and he kind of paid attention to that and understood or somehow was afraid of the gist, right?
Come on!
Come on, see? He shouts him down. These two, Parker and Brett, are treated like trash, as you can see, like more like, you know, like the one that you trample upon. And I told you, if you come closely here, see, just right there is the eye, right there. See, that's one eye, that's another eye.
Don't get anything on your arm.
So what they're trying to say is here, aside from what I already explained in the videos I already produced, and I think in video number 6 or transitory, that he will be used against the alien and it will be sacrificed in the process, right? This is similar to, you know, how other movies, you know, black or Mexican guy or Arab guy, if there is a face-off between people and aliens and monsters and, you know, fight among, you know, blah, 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 you know, all the Mexican guy, the Arab guy and the black guy always die, right? And the rest survive. Storage lockers is where they lock the money here, right?
Didn't say anything like that except, molecular acid. Yeah, for blood.
He's always eating. And that means this, right? Dollar, shares, right? Stock market shares.
Got a wonderful defense mechanism. You don't.
Notice how he's ready to make a run for it, right? He's edgy. He's on edge, right? So anything happens, he sees anything, he's just gonna he's gonna make a run for it. You know, he's gonna bolt. So Cain now is really here. The reference to Cain is not innocent as you think, or as it might appeer. Cain is related to whatever it is, right? See, she's making, trying to make sense of what's going on because she has a lot at stake here.
do you know?
It came to ash.
Notice, now he's either mesmerized by what has happened. Whatever has happened is really his pen, right? His words, or he could be thinking now, maybe he's going to be sacrificed. He's a sacrificial lamb, right? Not a lamb, more like probably a raccoon or something.
Get back to work.
Hashashin.
What?
Okay, another note now. I don't know if the hand means anything here. It looks like the hand of the alien and that of Parker. But I made a number of comments on the pen and what it means. I have one more possibility on the pen, dangling pens and so on. I think it may mean fate, F-A-T-E, fate, fate, such as, so it is written, so it shall be done. That's one thing, right? The other is authority. The other one is, scriptures, revelation from God. The other one is, they work by rules. The fourth one is authority, right? And so on and so forth. But today's possibility is that this is fate, right? All right, here they are fixing something. What is it they're fixing really? I counted those hatches, H-A-T-S-C-H-E-S, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Behind the hand here, you'll see. So there are 12, really. Once you talk in 12, and then you can probably count those as well, but it'll take me an hour to do so. I don't want to do that, right? And there's food. There's a bowl of food here. There's beer as well. Beer, bowl of food, another bowl of food. That belongs to him, right? I think this is the machine that supplies money, print money, and generate fake stock market and so on, and tickers, T-I-C-K-E-E-R, right? Tickers, the tickers that roll across the screen at the bottom if you're watching those financial channels, right? That's what I think it is. Here there's like 5024 31 blah blah blah. So this here during the failed offensive or the debacle or the fiasco that ensued, the money supply just stopped or something of the sort. The fake money faking machine, right? So they're fixing it now. And these two are always responsible for that. They're the undercover, stealthy type, molds.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was it. Drop it. I feel like I've been in this place a month.
We should have landed in this place in the first place.
Now, in one of the deleted scenes, he, that is Parker, says he should have his own ship. Next time, he's not going to be partnered with Sarah or Ripley or Abraham or Dallas, or say JFK and what's her name? Jackie.
Couldn't have landed on this damn ball and all that.
I don't know what damn ball means, right? Are they talking planet here? I don't think so.
Well, the sooner we pack this thing up and get out of here, the sooner we can go home. This place gives me the creeps.
All right. All right, I mentioned in my previous transitory video about this being JFK and Jackie and Dallas, meaningly JFK was killed in Dallas. And then the white shuttle, Narcissus, is really the White House, and so on and so forth. But there's something else related to that I will bring up now because I don't want to make an independent video. I don't want to make an independent recording, right, in regards to that. This movie was released in 1979. What happened in 1979? Do you remember the Iran's revolution? And then in conjunction with that, here there's Balaji, the royal, Khazarian, Iranian, Jewish, Majas, like M-A-G-A, Maja, right? Majus or Majais, right? And that he is supposed to, there's a reserved place for him on the table, right? Balaji, right? and he's like a certain royal with a turban, imperial with a turban, as well as a smoking pipe, right? Very long pipe like this, right? I think in 1979 there is something that revolution in Iran, and remember the American hostages in the embassy that were during the Carter's time, right? And you know, it seems to me like what they're trying to say here is that revolution was the beginning of something big to take America's place, right? So what's happening here is really in preparation for the Iran revolution and its Balaji to take over, right? So United States gets like whacked and destroyed financially, and Iran rises now, Persia, supposedly Persia. It's not real Persia, right? But that's another subject. What's going on in there is really sinister and ugly and foul and so on, right? And terrorism and whatnot, right? But the release of 1979 here was in preparation, apparently, with to be released in conjunction with the 1979 revolution. And here, the financially, in the previous transitory video, I explained that this is the United States, right? And it's being, taken apart and so on, right? So that's Iran, right? Right, that's Iran, and it's very related. And I will quote more about the financial and U.S. situation here. Like I said, this is multi-threaded. It's talking about things. It's well disguised. The main subject, the main theme, or the subjects and the points. If you remove the blurring, if you remove the innuendos and the cover-ups and so on, they will be very simple, right? Iran taking the place of the United States in 1979 revolution and so on, right? So they may not be as interesting as you think they are, right? But here, the disguise, if you remove the disguise from this movie, you will see it's talking about some very straightforward things that are historical. Distorted, nonetheless, there is distortion, right? Here, when Kane is alone, notice the camera is moving. And although it shows blue on the camera here, this is white, really. This is out in the open. Not in the ducts or the secret societies or communications and so on. And the camera is moving means the entity or the spirit is here. It's moving about, right? Notice. The camera is not moving haphazardly here. The camera is that spirit waiting on the gestating period to complete, right? To reach a conclusion or fruition. And the music, of course, is associated with it, that haunting music. So there's a guard, whatever is rolling here around Kane, walking about, which is the camera. That is a guard for Kane and whatever is in Kane, right? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe here, I mentioned before, talked about this here, but this here is a monitoring tool, a communication tool of some sort. It just doesn't make sense to me what this here is. But that's what I think it is. It's a monitoring tool. Something you look at, here, it's like a microscope. So I mentioned before that he is able to go from one dimension to another. The dimension where those entities and spirits are, seems like they're aware of that and he's aware of them. So he can move back and forth between the dimensions, right? That of the humans, that of this particular ship, and the other is on the other thing, right? And then he communicates with it with subtle gestures and questions and so on. Whoever is in there, these two and the third one, so here's Ripley, right? And here's him, but there's someone else now, right, in the mix, standing about, joined on the conference, right, or on the exchange. Now notice how he communicates with it.
He says, I don't know yet.
And again, that's the MAGA, M-A-G-A, or MAGA, M-A-J-A, or MAGI, right? MAGA, you know, MAGA, right? MAGA, that's the Magi's, or the religion of Zoroaster, right? They say it's Zoroaster. It's really mysterious, you know. You try to go in there, you just hit a dead end, or exit on the other side having noticed nothing, right? So it's very complex, right? I know a little bit about it, but what they do is those members of this particular occult, right? The angels or occults of the angel, they consider themselves as gods of a human. Some politicians do that, such as the one in Syria, right? And here and there. They kill millions, but they consider themselves as gods of men. Now let's notice again.
Yes, I.
Did you see? Look. See? He just looked past her on her left side. He is now seeing and telling whoever is in there, like, focus. But he doesn't need to tell. Or maybe he's seeing what's going on. Maybe he's receiving information.
A little talk. How's Kane?
He's holding, no changes.
And our guest.
Oh,
Okay, I explained that protein, polysaccharides. I think I missed the point here on what he means by protein, polysaccharides, right? Which tells me this is a human being, or actually tree, right? Maybe paper. Paper is made of probably protein and cellulose and polysaccharides. But here it means human. I think it means human beings, right? Human beings. And then today I'm gonna explain it in terms of the financial side, economical side, and takeover side of United States in this particular movie, right? In this particular thread, which is financial, political, economical, and so on, right? Here the mission is to take over the United States and do away with it, right?
pretty.
For whatever Iran is, right? Or whatever rules Iran.
Saccharides. It's a funny habit of shedding his cells reflect.
Shedding its cells and replacing them with polarized silicon. The cells here, I think he means human beings, right? Employees, live employees, and records are paper records, right? Like this. You know, and before computers, right? It was records, you know, books and records and so on, you know. And then after the computer, right? Polarized silicon. So now the stock market, the government, whoever it is, right, have replaced a lot of their human resources, right, with polarized silicon or computers, right? So silicon, guess what? Silicon Valley, silicon, you get that from the sand in Arabia, right? And then make CPUs or electronics out of it. It's very obvious here, right? So whoever it is they're talking here, which is probably JFK or the White House, that is the Narcissus shuttle, is beginning, or the infrastructure in general, the corporate side, the intelligence side, whatever side in the United States has been replaced from protein polysaccharides, which is human beings, right? Your typical human employees, to polarized silicon. So this is called computerization of the United States.
Something with polarized silicon, which gives him a prolonged resistance.
Yes, you cannot easily break down if you're on computers, or, you know, be susceptible to normal mishaps or drawbacks, if there's any drawbacks and mishaps, right? Human beings usually are vulnerable, right? They're prone to fear and so on and so forth, right? Aside from that, you cannot breach the environment, right? If they are no longer human beings. Well, that's not the case anymore. This is in 1979. Now we know that internal hackers or internal resources usually steal information send it out, right? So that's what he means by that. Polysaccharides, protein polysaccharides, gone, and then now silicon is in, right? Silicon Valley is in to adverse environmental condition.
Environmental condition. Is that enough?
That's funny. What does it mean?
Please, thank you.
Sorry.
Well, it's an interesting combination of elements, making him a tough little son of a bitch.
Tough little son of a bitch, right? So I don't know what son of a bitch means here, you know, like a bastard or something. But now what I am talking about is that he's a little bit tough son of a bitch. He's no longer able because it's computerized, right? You can't just break in.
And you let him in.
So here, information is very difficult to decipher. It's very difficult to steal. Hard to break in or breach. You know, it's guarded. It's no longer available as per any human being that you have a spy or you know, operative, undercover operative that is, you know, stealing information on your behalf or something. But now that has been established. Now you got like certain Asian countries sending people here, or people here, or you know, like the Ripley's bringing people from Asia who are infiltrating the corporate and taking information from within and giving it to the outside world and so on. So that has been overcome. You know, tough little son of a bitch is no longer the case. Actually, now it's more exposed than ever. So here I wanted to mention something to you. We saw that Ash picked up the milk, right? Pitcher. And you know, that was a milk pitcher on the table when he obscured or blocked Dallas's line of sight, right? But here he does the same thing. However, notice I wanted you to focus on this. Here, what he's doing is something, right?
It's a bang of the right talker, remember?
Ash, when Dallas and Kane are off the ship, I'm senior officer.
Oh, yes, I forgot.
You also forgot the Science Division's basic quarantine law.
No, that I didn't forget.
Oh, I see. Just broke it.
Huh? So what would you have done with Kane? Hmm? You know, his only chance of survival was to get him in here.
Unfortunately, by breaking quarantine, you risk everybody's life.
Maybe I should have left him outside. Maybe I've jeopardized the rest of us, but it was a risk I was willing to take.
It's a pretty big risk. For a science officer, it's not exactly out of the manual, is it?
I do take my responsibilities as seriously as you do. You do your job. Let me do mine, yes?
Notice when she walks away what he does. Notice what he does when she turns her back and walk away. So he picks up a glass of milk, right? I mean, it's hardly the case that anyone putting their milk next to such a complex, sophisticated console, right? It's hardly anything normal, right? And at the same time, he's looking at her, I believe. I don't think that's milk. This is something else, indicative of him having certain predilection. I will explain that later when he attacks Ripley. That's the White House, and now the guns are pointing within, right? What does that mean? Right? What does that mean? Guns pointing within now, not without, right? That means, now if this was the United States, right? And this is the White House, right in the middle, right? Control center. Then civil war is about to erupt. You know, the shooting is going to be within, is what I understand this to be. On the financial thread of this movie, and political and economical, which is the United States, the White Shuttle, right? It's the White House, the Narcissus. I think here the Ripleys have managed to now get the United States to kill each other, right? And that's the Civil War, is what I am thinking here. But it may not mean anything in the other threads of the movie. So here I got a better handle on those ribbed tubes. They're called, and I always knew they were electrical tubes, right? They had electrical wires in them. And they're called flexible conduits, right? Flexible conduits. But here, you see there is some kind of a control nozzles or switches and ratings, you know, like, and here as well, right? So the White House controls the ending of those flexible conduits, which are electrical wires. What I believe now, that is, whenever you see those, these are the control signals, the control flow of control, right? The endings are here controlled by the White House, and now it is Dallas, right? On the ship. And here is a seat. Apparently somebody else is sitting on that seat here. So now we're talking two dimensions. You know, I just developed or moved forward or upper or higher in trying to understand this particular film. So there are two dimensions. So that's him and that's somebody else here on the other side, right? And these are the control pipe or control flexible conduits, right? That's what I think they are now. I am pretty confident that's what they mean. And he is in control, right? And their endings, the main flow of control or uh, uh, source of control is here in that shuttle, Narcissus shuttle or the White House, and he's in control. Here I am seeing a tear drop flow, or tears are flowing from his eye, right? There they are. That's a flow of a tear, you know. I don't know what to make of that. Could be just basically sweating, you know, he's sweating. Yeah, there's sweat here. So he's sweating. Why would you want to sweat? So apparently it's a laborious affair. Okay, so it's like a laborious affair, you know, sweating and tears, you know, tear flowing and sweat here. So I don't know, maybe the process is very laborious, very tedious, that it's very stressing, you know, for him. Again, those flexible conduits could be, like I said, they are the electrical control or communications or control channels and so on and so forth. But they could also control supplies, right? The money and shares and, you know, government spending, you know, and so on. Also, if you noticed at the beginning during the title scroll across or up the and down the screen, or when the Nostromo first shows on the screen, is shown on the screen, the description is 7 crew members and then 20 million ton of mineral ore. Mineral ore on that means 20 million ton of gold, right? Is what they're talking about. So it plays in the context of the financial side and the economical and political side of the movie, and the Balaji or imperial or you know, the 1979 revolution that's supposed to lead to a country that is a revolution, according to Ripley and the makers of this movie, that's supposed to replace the United States or even become the leader of the world, right? And that is Iran, the government in Iran. They call it Islamic Revolution. Forget that. That's just a disguise, right? Such as disguise the ones that I'm showing you here in this movie. Okay. Okay, here I want to bring your attention to something here. Take Ash's face, right? Well, there may be another instance where you can see his face without the mask, right? Medical mask or oxygen, right? This looks like an oxygen mask, or I don't know what it is. Oh no, this is like a filtration thing, you know? And remove the hair digitally. Just remove the hair, right? So remove this hair here, right? And then you will end up with the face of a demon. So there's something similar to a horn here. There's a mask like that in some artistic artwork or something I've seen before. So these are two horns here, and that's the face, right? Just remove those. Where do you see that? There's that dictator butcher of Damascus, Bashar. They call him Assad. They're really donkeys, right? He's got the same thing. You can remove his hair and find the hairs. That guy's ears are pointing outward, right? As if he's not human. Neither is this guy. Is that how he cuts his hair? I do not know. But you really help me out here. Try it yourself. Just mentally or digitally. Remove the hair completely and see what you come up with or what you observe. I have explained before in one of the deleted scenes, showing one of the deleted scenes, that when Ripley wanted to check on Lambert to see if she is related to this guy, and she asked her if she slept with him, and she said she wasn't interested or something of the sort. My point there is that she was checking on relationship, right? But there's another side to it, that they may not be of the same species, right? Lambert and he, right? Maybe Ripley felt the same way. She wasn't interested. She was checking on the other available female among the crew, whether she has any feelings for this guy. And she said no, she wasn't. She wasn't interested, right? Now maybe Ripley deduced that this guy here is really not human, right? That's why there is no attraction, right? There is no chemistry here, right? And that's what led me to think about removing the hair, because I saw it before about that dictator of Syria, right? Oh, he's got the same thing with the ears sticking out. I mean, that guy is more pronounced as a demon than a human and than Ash here. So when he says, my God, right? So let's do my God, right?
My God.
So when they say, my God, here, abstract yourself and then think that they're talking about that face hugger, right? Sometimes when people say, my God, they're like astonished or at awe or, or mesmerized or something of the sort. Not in some instances. In some instances, this guy is whoever wrote the script, and they're more than one person. Remember O'Brien? When O'Brien said, there's not one book that's written by one man alone or something of the sort, right? Along the same line. I don't recall the exact wordings or phrase that he used or he uttered, but that's what he's saying. So now what happens here is those who wrote the script, that dogma they bear in their brain, right, is that they don't think God is in space, that God is on earth. And this is relevant to what I'm about to say later, my comment later about this particular xenomorph, right? Or whatever went into Cain. They believe God is here on earth, right? And he possesses someone, a man, right? I don't know why not a woman, right? Their belief and how they think is just weird, man. But nonetheless, that's what I think it is. That's what it is, and then that will prove what I said about them believing that he's here on Earth, living in some human being or something. Is such, right? Is that God is in a human flesh. I explained this before. This is called Sufis invented all this, and Sufis are the upper echelons are Jews, and the lower classes are basically dogs. They're dogs and so on. And they believe in that God is really in one of them, right? And that you should worship them as God. And here you look at the ventilation holes here. They're 8 and 8, right? 8 and 8. So you will come to see that that is a very significant thing. The other thing I wanted to tell you is I explained to you about Brett being assassin or assassin. That is true to they've existed and they basically kill. They're coward, but they kill in close only if they're able to survive the assassination, right? And this has been shown in a movie before, an iconic movie, and it's called Conan the Barbarian. You know Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger, going with Crusaders and so on, and James Earl Jones, I think, was the guy in sitting on a throne, and then he turns into a snake and something like that. Believe it or not, some of that is true, and it happened, right? Especially about the two girls supposedly who jumped to their deaths under order, right? Just by an order. Well, in fact, they weren't girls; they were men, right? And that's how it is, you know. Like they just basically die for their master, right? Uh, that's what they are, right? Like there's really nothing else. And that movie, if you watch that movie, these are the Hashashin or Ashashin, right? Assassins. All right. So I made a couple of comments here. Let's see, pause and go elsewhere. So the inquiry about having slept with by Ripley to Lambert is really humans and demons, humans and devils, right? Nephilims or something of the sort. Nephilim, right? It happens, and that's maybe another possibility that Ripley is checking, or Sarah is checking on Lambert having slept with a devil, right? Maybe she already knows, and now Kane is a devil, right? Or a Nephilim or Nephilim. So there's plenty to say about that one. It's not haphazard, nor it is lust, really. Now notice what happens. The noise, the humming noise. Listen.
My God.
Notice. Here. Did you, okay, the humming noise, and then the camera or whoever that being is came close to the face. Let me repeat that for you again. Which means they, like, behold, you know, they saw the God being born or something of the sort. You see what I'm saying here? You know, the God maybe, so the Last Supper came, if he's Jesus, then God came unto him, and Ripley means the dove, right? The divine, right? Excuse me, right? The divine and so on, right? And they killed him because they don't want him to stay in there, right? So that's probably along the same lines. Do you see? So there's happiness, there's clamor among the invisible entities who are on the shuttle now, or the Nostromo, and there are 5 helmets. So 7 crew members plus 5 helmets, they're 12, right? Remember Alien, the alien thing that rolled across the screen, 12 bars, and then the neons when they woke up, 12 bars, 12 neons, and so on. And then he comes with a set of servants, right? You know, here, you see, like I told you, these are like faces and so on. So now this guy has servants, right? Similar to a queen ant, right? Or a queen bee. You know, a queen bee, when a new one is hatched, it leaves the nest, right, of its own mother. But then it takes few workers, bees with it, right, to establish a new colony. And then they come close, right? So there's like some kind of happiness and chatter, and in the back end, that humming noise and communications. And guess what? A new baby egg, right? I told you this one looks like the egg down in the pit in the derelict ship, right? So a new one is being born here, a new queen or something. But again, that's a brain. This is a position of a brain. How they believe in it is that God, supposedly, according to them, it's not true, of course, he moves from one human being to another. And here they're representing that through either the brain and the spinal cord, through the nervous system, and so on and so forth, right? Just go figure. You know, they have these thoughts that are weird, man.
sir.
Jeez. Christ.
So what is the use of porn here? I don't know, but I think he is talking that magazine here. Maybe they mean, you know, like the tough little son of a bitch, right? You know, right? I don't know. Maybe they're calling here that, right? He's tough little son of a bitch, right? So maybe Hagar is a bitch, right? She like slept with someone or something of the sort. You see, I am hovering around the point, but I am not exactly precisely on it right here. Okay, I may have found an explanation to those uh, yellow stripes. I think these are gold, right? I think that's what they are. She's the bearer of the gold. And these two are after the gold. So he gets what is coming to him by law, but he doesn't get anything. That's Parker.
Hey, Ripley!
Right? That's what I'm seeing here. I think she gives Brett, but she is not giving anything to Parker, even though there is a contract, supposedly, right? So whoever they picked up, the xenomorph, comes with probably 20 million ton of ore inheritance, right? He probably inherited 20 million tons of gold or something of the sort, right? And they want to make sure they take it, right? Without him knowing about it. I'm telling you, folks, the cat ain't letting go any. Not 1 pound, not 1 ounce of that gold. He wants all of it back. All right, there are a few things here I want to say. And that is, I told you, watch that movie, Conan the Barbarian. They're talking about Hashashin. Although lightweight, you know, there's not much there. And again, now she is consuming money and whatever, right? Probably debt because the cat is not yet caught or the xenomorph is not yet secured. They want to make him speak stuff and sign stuff and so on so they can use his name and his signature and his words and recorded words and so on so they can take his inheritance, supposedly, right? Or whatever he is able to command. 20 million ton of mineral ore, that's gold. Or values of dollars, and they can borrow in his name and buy and sell in his name and so on and so forth. That's what I'm seeing here. Now, let me continue on this. So, there's like a weird looking creature here, UFO or something. Here, I just couldn't figure out what the heck that is. I mean, it's just meant not to be seen. Here, remember I told you about the ticker, you know, there was tick, you know, like ticks or, you know, stock market, sell and buy and so on. You know, each one has like an acronym. I think that's what this is here. Right? It started to be used and utilized to rack up debt, right? On the poor xenomorph. Or let's say God, right? As I mentioned a little before that. So here's a UFO. I really don't know who that means, right? Whether it's him, maybe it's him. Whether it's the xenomorph, whether it is Parker, but it's just strange. And there's a face here, you know, there's like some kind of a face if you come close to the screen with some kind of a magnifier glass or screen glasses.
I mean, he's got a disease. Why don't we stop it where it is? You can always get to a doctor when we get back home.
Right.
Right? Because they don't want him to have to be able to spread the disease or to be able to resist or become a problem, right? Here, what they're trying to say is they want to paralyze him, maybe psychologically.
Now Whenever he says anything, you say, right, right. You know that?
Which means he worships him, as I mentioned. This is the assassins, right? The assassins, Shashin, right? But then Parker tells him exactly what to do. And then he puts him forward when he's scared shitless. And notice here how he winks, right? See, notice. I think the face in the ducting where he put the pencil, where Dallas put the pencil, his pencil, I have a feeling it's his eyes and face, right? In there.
Oziran says, right.
See? Now, Lambert is always on the periphery, you know, she's like a border type personality.
Like a regular parent.
Yeah, shape up.
Yeah, he tells him what to do, right?
Right. Oh, come on, knock it off.
Okay, now she's sitting on brown sheets. Brown, like I mentioned to you, coffee, sand, brown, palm trees, and so on and so forth. Denotes Arabs, right? You know, signifies Arab environment or Arab men, right? And here, whatever he is eating or picking up from, that looks like falafel to me. that's very funny, right? You know, everybody is now eating, you know, all kind of stuff, as I explained it earlier, industrial and whatnot, right?
Jane's gonna have to go into quarantine, that's it.
Listen, so will we.
Well, how about a little something to lower your spirits?
Please.
Well, according to my calculations, based on time spent getting to and from the planet,
Just give me the short version. How far it is.
10 minutes.
How far to collecting, right? And start like getting home in 10 months. So if I want to say, you know, I left in 10 months in 1980, right? May through May. Well, no, I can't put myself here no matter what. All right, so here I am seeing a house and some kind of a tree behind it or a forest, and then somebody is walking outside of the house. But that also shows there's a face here, right? There's a face behind whoever it is, right? Depicted here as a man walking outside of the house. Sounds like a face with like big hair, right? You know, maybe that's she, right? Or it looks like a certain personality, TV personality, an old black African American actor that acted in a film, starred in a film called Kill Joy. It's an older, I think it's an older one, and he's got hair like that of a clown, right? And then the painted face and so on, and you know, called Kill Joy. I think if I remember correctly, it's been so many years, decades, right?
Right.
So I don't know.
Yes.
Dallas, I think you should go and see Kane.
Has his condition changed?
It's simpler if you just go and see him.
We're on our way.
And here, there's somebody fishing, right? It's like a river and fishing. Somebody is on a river, you know, wants to jump to the other side, you know, jump over the river to the other edge.
Right.
See, I don't know what to make of that. Other than that, look at that escargot. I can't figure out what this here is, right? And there's your hashashin, right?
How are you doing?
So Neo on the incubator, and there are like a limitless number of Neos being gestated, or if you remember that, like those very high buildings, right, where Neos are attached to, right, and their incubation pod or status pod or something, right, and then he wakes up. I showed that in my commentary on the Matrix, right? But then it was virtual reality, right? And now I have a new theory, which I have evidence to, that these guys are really not awake. This is virtuality. That's why he told him, you look dead, meaningly he's comatose, right? He's on a stretcher somewhere, and his sperms are being siphoned off, right? Somehow, somewhere, right? But he has to consent to it while he's on the in the virtual world where his mind is living, right? Which is really not real, right? So there's no reality for this guy here talking blah 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 blah, right? However, there is a reality on his body being on a stretcher. So all that is separated. You see the point I'm trying to make here? There is the virtuality where he talks and he sweats and but on the other side, he's on the stretcher. And I showed you in the previous video, I think number 6, right? How he reaches by hand, right? And touches the xenomorph, right? Meaning he's ejaculating, right? Masturbating. And then they are collecting those sperms or xenomorphs or whatever it is, right? But here, when he's talking, really, this is in his mind, right? So some people speculate about us being in virtual reality, right? And there's no reality around us. Well, I am beginning to believe that there's some truth to that, right? Meaningly, we see each other, we go eat, we do all that stuff, right? And then we feel pain and so on, but all that is virtual reality when our bodies really are lying on a stretcher somewhere and they're used for reproduction, right? And cloning and so on. And that actually meshes with what you see in the Matrix. The Matrix, the waking, and Morpheus talking to Neo is really virtuality, remember? Virtual reality, right? So there's some truth to that. And that's what happens when he's sitting or laying, when he's laying down, looking dead, and the xenomorph is breaching his chest, right? So there's much to say about that. I mean, I can develop an entire book on this, and I hope nobody takes that and then do whatever, because this is copyrighted. So that's what I mean. When I saw those 5 helmets, right? I think that's virtual reality, the other dimension. You know, the one we don't see, and then they see us, but we don't see them, right? That's what's being meant in this movie. Now, this is not in this movie, actually. There's plenty of that about this in my own religion of Islam, you know. So so it's not, but the articulation of it and the explanation of it and defining that is just something I've done to you now, right? I have explained that, right? Deduced the facts, right? And built a case around what I'm seeing of separate or disparate elements, right? Of the plot, and then I put it together and then sorted out a new reality. That's what I'm saying here, is that really this guy is really here in virtual reality, but he's on the stretcher on that table, right? With the xenomorph coming out of him, and they collecting it on the other in the other dimension, right? Which you don't see. I call them entity and spirit and ghost and so on. And these are the 5 helmets, right? And they're always behind. Every helmet is behind certain someone in this movie. Him, Ripley or Sarah, Lambert or Hagar, Dallas and Ash, right? 5. But the other 2, they just don't exist, right? They don't have correspondence. Why? Because Parker is already 2-dimensional, right? And so is Ash. But Ash is not known, is what I am saying here. However, Brett, I don't know what Brett is. He's like on the feeble side or something. So again, I will repeat that one more time. You look dead means he's comatose. When he says, I feel dead, and you look dead, he's comatose, and they're controlling the production of his sperms or genetic material. Here is like Neo awakening in virtual reality. Same thing here.
Terrific. Next to the question.
So the cup that he gave him, Parker, and this guy gave him, like I said, maybe poison, because it's time that he got killed and then the spirit moved from him to somebody else, the xenomorph. Now I am here talking two-dimensional, right? Two-dimensional in the movie and two-dimensional on my own, because I thought, right, the spirit moves as assumed from one body into another. When one dies, the spirit is forced to move into another body. That is the case. But now I am talking Neo, which is virtual reality, right? While he is really on a stretcher, comatose, looking dead, and he's dead, right? But he's not really dead. He's comatose. So, but they don't violate each other. They don't. The two theories are not contradictory, right? They don't repudiate. I'm not repudiating myself, is what I am saying. This is too much really to put together with impromptu comments like I am doing now, just by watching the movie or without preparations and so on, right? Now, I just started taking notes a while back, right? You know, on paper, right? And that's the only thing I'm helping myself with. Other than that, you know, the points are probably looking disconnected, and the threads are disconnected, but with a little bit of effort, they all can be connected, right? And then it shows you the real depth of this movie and what they're talking about. Here, they're accusing him, I don't know, maybe because he's on a stretcher, he's wearing such a dress like that. Or, you know, son of a bitch, right? Tough little son of a bitch, right? Maybe that's the bitch's dress, right? I don't know. Or he's calling him a bitch, right? Because he's dressed like a bitch, you know, like a prostitute is what I mean, right? But then look, he's wearing that religion, MAGA, right? MAGA or MAJA, right? That overall or dress, right? Which is the priest of the MAGA, right? I don't know, but that's definitely after the sperm whale, the identification of the juvenile xenomorph as the sperm whale. This is definitely Ishmael, and he's wearing white. And you know, those priests of the MAGA, you know, the MAGA, are in, I think they dress white as well, right? And then underneath, I don't know, just a little bit confusing, but you get the gist of what I am trying to say here. Now notice.
Do you remember anything about the plan?
What's the last thing you do? Huh?
I remember some horrible dream about smothering him.
Smothering, right? See what I'm talking about now? It's a dream, but he's being smothered, right? There's something going on the stretcher where he's comatose. And here we're talking on the other side, the other dimension. It's in the virtual, it's in his mind, in his soul. He's a veggie, he's a comatose. By the way, excuse this here. I have scratch on my TV screen here. So sometimes it shows and then you don't know what it is, right?
Anyway, where are we?
Right there.
We're on our way home.
Yeah, back to the old freezerinos.
All right, what is freezerinos? Now the plot becomes very obvious and visible. Freezer, right? Stop on the R. Afterwards, it's in freezer, in outer space. INOS. OS is outer space. So freezer in outer space. What do they do to him? They throw him out in space. Remember when they wanna after he supposedly after the breach, he becomes like useless, right? So they throw him out in outer space, right? Frozen in outer space. You don't wish anything like this on those people, no matter how ill-intended or have ill intentions they are. Trust me on this. They're just like, that's like very hateful here. Freezer in outer space. Freezer in outer space. That's what it means. In OS outer space. That's ugly, folks. That's very ugly. So those two cups that were given to him, right? those 2 cups, right, that were given to him, one by Parker
Terrific. Next silly question.
and one by Ash, may not be poison, as I mentioned earlier. Rather, there may be poison. There may be poison, but that is probably some kind of a drug to induce a sexual arousal, right? Sexual arousal and ejaculation is what I am trying to say here. Those 2 cups that were given to him, which happens later, not shortly thereafter, right? The breach happens. So I am beginning to be a believer with plenty of evidence about the theory I just presented here about the duality of dimensions. You know, one is virtual here, talking and so on, and one just sitting on a stretcher, right? Ejaculating genetic materials for cloning, for whatever, right? You know, you never know how many child you have in this world, is what I'm trying to say. Now, that said, Neo's track in that movie parallels Kane in this movie. When at the end he dies, right? The agents shoot him, right? And supposedly he gets up from death, right? It's not true. He died. What got up, right, is really Trinity having secured his seed, which looks like him. That's why you get confused, right? She got his seed, and now they move away and let everything get destroyed, right? The God thing. Believe me, Neo resembles, parallels, Neo's track in that movie, in the Matrix, parallels Kane a lot right here in this movie.
Good. Remember anything about the plan?
What's the last thing you do? Huh?
I remember a horrible dream about smothering.
So these memories, it's like what I am saying is there's a link. While we're well, we say, my theory, unconscious, we are unconscious, and he's unconscious, right? Sitting on a stretcher or in a incubation chamber, like those babies in the Matrix, right? You know how they attach those things to the back of their heads, right? And so on, right? It's not complete disconnect. I mean, we're not dead. So there is some kind of feelings that still trickle down into our mind, into our unconscious mind in virtuality. So we're aware, is what the theory says here. Is this a new theory that the authors of this movie or of this script didn't mean to put here, or I understood it more than what it is? Possible, but believe me, there is such thing. Even before viewing the movie, I had arrived on some sense and evidence that there's something like that. Okay, you see here, again, you see Balaji, right? The Royal Imperial with the smoking pipe in his hand, right? And he's like, that's his place, virtual place. Now, they have changed positions here. Ash was always between Kane and Dallas, right? And sometimes he sat next to, no, he sat between Kane and Dallas. In the last scene of the table here, of the dining table, right? And then these were closer together. But this guy here is a whole placeholder, right? So is this here. This here, the beer, and this here is the placeholder. She was drinking beer, right? So here, I believe that's the 1979 Iran's revolution when the movie was released, right? And this is the royal, supposedly. I don't know, maybe David, they mean by it, who is a Khazar, Persian, you know, of the sort, you know. It's just like a little bit convoluted. I mean, I can track it down for you, and I know something about that. This is not the place, but I think that's the awaited one in Iran, right? And they want like Iran to take a place of the United States now to be the world power, at least politically, at least religiously and blood, you know, thing of the sort, right? The Magi's, the Magas, right? Magas, right? And then it will be protected. So according to them, it's protected by Russia, by China, by India, by the Arab countries, you know, the regimes, and then by the United States. So this theory is not far-fetched. Maybe this movie is saying it was released in 1979 during the Islamic Revolution or shortly there or before, right? And then things were developing. It didn't come to pass, and I can tell you Iran is not going to be able to hold that position. This is a fabulous position here. And this here is the stock market ticker, right? You know, buy, right? Buy, not buy, rather B-U-Y. Heck, he's buying, right? And everybody is buying. This guy is oblivious to things, right? So this is a placeholder. This is where this guy is going to sit, right? When he's materialized and born. Probably Jonesy. And if you look closely, where Ash is sitting now, that's where Ripley or Sarah is sitting, and Jonesy was right here, right? Right here. Maybe right here. Right? I don't know, but he's always on this side. Right? So now, let's see. Let me go back. Sorry about that. Sorry, I missed. I thought I clicked on resume, but it didn't resume, right? So the Last Supper for him, of course. So here, as you can see, Balaji, right, the Royal Iranian, right? So in the 1979, right, you can see him, Imperial, Balaji Imperial, in the mountains of Iran. Maybe they really centered those Khazarian Jews, Magas or Majas, or Magi's, right? Magas, right? You know, you hear the Maga, and so on, right? So in 1979, the movie was released in 1979, just prior to the revolution, I believe, right? And then there was a lot of demonstrations in Iran and so on. So they mean for Iran, and this guy probably, this is a placeholder for him. So if when he materializes and all comes about, he will be sitting right here, right? And then somebody else will be sitting here as well. I don't know who that is, but that's Aspen beer. You know, they sell a beer that is void of alcohol. I don't know why you want to drink beer without alcohol, even though it's forbidden in my religion and I don't drink, right? But what does it mean to me? I mean, it's like dancing around the point, right? But here, what they mean by that is that he's going to come, right? Maybe David, Balaji, Khazarian, Jew, Iranian, Magi's. And these Magi's, like I explained earlier, they consider themselves gods of men, those Magas, right? Right? And they even, you know, send them to wars and deaths and so on. And all these guys are, or supporters, those who are waiting for Balaji are probably are now in, you know, they're the communists and Russia and China and India and the Arab regimes and some European countries and even the United States. They're working on his arrival, right? And they're protecting Iran, but Iran obviously failed to make the cut, right? And this here, I explained earlier that this is the stock market ticker, you know, you see on TV and so on, and everybody is eating and buying now because they guaranteed that whoever they were there for is in fact now is in the house, right? The house, right? So that's Jonesy. Jonesy earlier, if you look earlier, the position everybody sat at, you know, the chair everybody sat at, now it's musical chairs, right? That's not how it was. Now, Lambert and Kane always flanked Dallas, right? But next to them sat, okay, between Kane and that's significant, that's meaningful, right? It has some esoteric or arcane meaning to it, right? So between Kane and Dallas, Ash sat between them sometimes, right? Not anymore, right? Now here, sometimes, and Parker wasn't exactly next to Kane, right? And between these two, Parker and Brett, there's a place now. Somebody is sitting there, right? So there's 7, right? And there's 1 here, right? 1, 8, right? 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 sitting down now. Well, supposedly, right? Presumably. I'm not saying it is 12. But there's 12 apparently, right? Sitting down now. The 5 are the helmets, the invisible ones, or their doubles, right? In the 2 dimensions. So 5 are present in the 2 dimensions. Cain is not. Well, maybe he is. I don't know, right? Maybe he is. Actually, they're all except for Brett and Lambert. I mean, Brett and Parker, right? They're not present, right, in the 2 dimensions, right? Or one of them is, but then maybe Brett is, but this guy is not. We didn't see him, right? We didn't see him when those bars were scrolling across the screen. So Balaji seems to me like this is the big dude, you know, like the big boss, the one they're all waiting for. Doesn't seem to me like I'm scratching my head now, right, with this, my back. Doesn't seem to me like they're going anywhere with that. What happened to the guy which was blah, 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 blah. Notice the side conversation, right? Now, I want to show you something here. I think, right? I think that Lambert, I'm still insistent. I mean, I am like into the theory that Cain is Lambert's son, right? Ishmael and Hagar. Or modern age, something I explained to you that maybe Cain is a brother of Jonesy, but that's a clandestine, it's a theory, but I personally don't believe in it. But there's a possibility, and it can be analyzed and defined and explained, right? So now right? It seems like she is in on the plot against him, right? And what mother would do that to her son, right? Well, he's wearing now the black emblem, right? And so is she, right? Now, what kind of mother would participate in the demise of her son and his torment and so on? Well, 2 things. Number 1, maybe she thought she was unaware of the consequences or what's happening. 2, maybe she thinks he's already brain dead, right? And she doesn't care what happens to him. So she throws him under the bus, like they say, or into the torment, and then she allows for whatever is being done to him to be done to him, right? See, they're all pointing at him and happy right now. They're about to cash in, right? Cash the check. Notice the side conversation, right?
First thing that I'm gonna do when I get back is to get some decent food. I can dig it, man. I'm saying I'm eating birds food this week. Don't think I taste better.
You pound out?
Okay, you pound down the stuff like there's no tomorrow. You may think that's very hard. I don't think she means food here, right? I don't think she means food. It means like this guy, there's no tomorrow. Meaningly, he's doing what he's doing. They already induced, right? They already induced him into producing the genetic material, right? By giving him the cups and so on. But then he's gonna die afterwards, right? So she knows. Found the stuff like there's no tomorrow. Here, there's no tomorrow. She knows that he's gonna die. But notice, and then again, like for 2 reasons, what mother would think of that of her son? I mean, I've seen mothers protect their sons even when they're comatose, right? After an accident or something. They refuse to disconnect them of, the support system and stuff. I'd rather be eating something else. But right now, I'm thinking food, right? Money. Now notice, while he's eating, and then just immediately before he goes into a spasm, right? A bout of spasm and then the breach and so on, look what she does with her cigarette. Notice, keep noticing her hand and her cigarette, right? As if she signals the beginning of the process of breach. Notice, keep looking.
You know where.
She looks at everybody, and now she puts out her cigarette. Keep looking. Notice, she's putting out her cigarette,
I don't want to talk about it.
and he goes into a convulsion or spasm, or he begins to feel the poison. Right? He's dying on the stretcher, physically speaking. While here, virtually, his brain feels the pain. Right? And then I'm eating this just to, and that guy is drinking, right? And everybody now is looking, and guess what? There's Jonesy, ready to get the transfer, right? What is the transfer? Well, the xenomorph, like I said, the spirit or God or something of the sort, right? However, it could be just the titles, right? They get some kind of a proxy or an overseer, or some kind of you know how they appoint the guardians, right? They appoint guardians, right, to someone, right? So maybe this cat, whoever it represents, is I don't know, maybe David or something of the sort. I don't know, and they are now in the sense of appointing him, right? So they show him. Now notice the 1-6 and the 1-6, right? Now notice how he's looking. He knows it started, right? As soon as Lambert gestures, mentions with her cigarettes, it begins. And the cat is ready.
What's wrong?
You see, he's eating. He is eating. So the titles and whatever is transferred in his name now, right? Whatever he is inherited, the 20 million iron or 20 million ton of mineral ores, you know, the gold and whatnot, right? The signature and. Okay. So like I said, they're holding him down on the stretcher. Now he's on the stretcher, he's dying, right? But they want him, you know how sometimes in some stories or anecdotes, when there's a fight over a gold hoard of gold coin and stuff like that in the West, and then the one who knows where it is dying. Remember Eli Wallach, I think, talking to that guy in the wagon? You know, where is the gold? After he gets shot, where is the gold? And I think he tells him, because now he's dying, he knows he's dying, so he tells him where it is, right? So this is what it is. The spoon is really the process of taking the words out of his mouth, right? It's a microphone, perhaps. Get the spoon. The spoon was produced by Ash. He's in on the plot. He wants to take this guy's inheritance and authority and whatnot and hand it over to Jonesy. Meantime, they don't want him to know that they're holding him down. Meantime, they want him to know that they're helping him, so his spirit will not come back afterwards and do revenge on them. So that's what the spoon is, really. Okay, notice he's saying gibberish. He's talking gibberish, right? But what they mean by that is now he's uttering the words. He's handing over authority. He's in his name. He's handing over the pen. He's handing over the titles. He's handing over everything, right? By speaking, right? Notice. Agonized grunts is what I'm talking about here. Agonized grunts. He's agonized, but he's having to relinquish his valuables, if you will, or whatever he owns or whatever he's inherited, and so on and so forth. Wishful thinking. They borrowed so much money against him. He's not dead. Nor will he consent any of that. I can tell you that. Right? And we saw that. Now, Lambert and Dallas realize what they've done, right? that the consequences are greater. And again, maybe because he's comatose, looking dead, right? Comatose. Maybe maybe they just decided to make a deal on him or something like that. Cheap stuff. So Ash is frightened. Notice the sperm whale, right? The juvenile sperm whale. And his eye, of course, there's some kind of in his eye, there's like something that is, like supernatural. Notice the eye, right? That's the eye. But notice, so he's like on a stretcher, right? That's now we're talking the other dimension. So my theory is, like I really do have evidence on that. It's not like haphazard or just gibberish or wishful thinking. This world, I come to discover, is far more complex than we learned when we were little. Notice he's scared shitless. Notice you hear the heart beating, right? His heart is beating, right? So we're hearing a heart on a monitor in intensive care unit. That's how the heart sounds. Notice that again. Do you hear that? The monitor, the speaker in the intensive care unit in the ICU, when they're monitoring patients, comatose, his heart is beating. Which support my theory, right? Supports my theory or my fact finding. Now I'm closer to the fact than I ever was, that he's really comatose, or they poisoned him and they paralyzed him or something of the sort. I do have better view of the two birds now, two dipping birds. The two dipping birds, I think that's him or us in this particular movie in the two dimensions. So one is in one dimension and one is in the other. When one is dipping, that's the other dimension. When one is not dipping, that is in this dimension. Virtual versus realistic, right? So these are the two dimensions now, why they show these two birds. The other possibility, and it's a distant possibility, unlikely, is that these are the two angels on the Ark of the Covenant, right? According to what they describe, right? And his finger, notice his finger, but this particular finger, right? This here is a gesture of a Muslim, right? We Muslims have that gesture, which means the oneness of God, right? The monotheism. When we're praying, we extend the finger, right? There's only one God and no other, right? So we use that finger. So that's most certainly Ishmael, and this is a Moby Dick representation, right? And again, they released my video number 6, but there are very low view counts on it, so it may be censored out. So he's calling Dallas. Dallas disappeared. They're looking for him. Apparently, even though they allowed it and they went through the process of breaching and extracting whatever he is and whatever he owned, and if there's a xenomorph in him, it escaped, right? That's him. That's his helmet, right? That's the other Cain. Cain, right? Cain and Cain. He died, right? They killed him. Notice the pen, right? Fate. So it's written, so it shall be done. It's over, right? Somebody signed off on him. Someone.
And sealed.
Notice Lambert sitting way in the back. I mean, that's like she has this feelings toward him. You know, he's her child, right? Uh, she seems to be feeble, you know, like non-decisive. Either you're against your son or you're with your son, right? But here, so that's what I'm thinking. He was always comatose, or she didn't expect what happened to happen, or, you know, she's feeble. But this one here, and Brett, oh, you could see the conspiracy. I mean, their faces are glowing with it. This guy turned his face, right? He don't want to see because he is also his relative.
Anybody want to say anything?
And there's your Magas or Zoroaster, right? Or Magis. X, he's X, right? What is this again? What did Brett say? Repeat after me. Freezer in outer space. Freezer Reno, right? And everybody laughed. That was the plan. That was the plot. And guess what? Look, he's in outer space, freezing in outer space right now. Well, you know, I think it means death, unless they really mean to send whoever came down, like such as Kane or somebody, you know, they went to send him to back into space. Where do I see that? I see that in a movie called Stargate, which was taken directly from the Quran. Those rings, you know, like, what's his name? Russell, right? Kurt Russell, perhaps, right? You know, those rings, you know, they're mentioned in the Quran, right? Suratul Inshiqaq, right? And they send like they think he's out in outer space, right? And they send him a nuke by those rings, that, right? The dimensional rings, the one that propels something into space. Remember Spader and Kurt Russell, right? In that movie, the first one, the Stargate, that was taken directly from the Quran. And the alien who is flying that ship, you know, like he looks like non-gender, right? They mean by him Allah or God, and they decide to kill him, right? So they send him a nuke. That's very funny. Oh, dude. So this is Freezer in outer space. Sickos. So, small comment, or very quick comment on the Order 937. Oh, I tried to understand 937 time and again. I just couldn't. But then I even looked at calendars, you know, Hijra or Islamic calendar, what year it was here and there in different calendars and so on. The only really thing that appeared is a battle, right? A battle in England and Ireland, I think, or some really big battle. Or it was, according to Islamic calendars, like 1525 or 1530 in solar calendar. And it's also in Hebrew year. I looked at it and so on. Hebrew year is not accurate because it was, all these calendars were established after the Islamic calendar. And the BC and ACU, that was also estimated according to certain calculations by Muslim historians, right? It wasn't there before. It was like, we're messed up. We're probably in the year 2000 or 3000 or 1000 or something in the, but that was estimated. I mean, it could be off by, I don't know how many years or something like that. I couldn't find out. But then it hit me. I looked at the 9 on its own, and then I looked at the 937, the 3 on its own, and the 7 on its own. They all have religious or occultic numbers, right? In all religions. So you can search on that, the meaning of 7, the meaning of 3, and the meaning of 9, right? And then you will find something there. Or it could be angels, or it could be, for example, the 3. My guess on the 3 was the Trinity or the Christians, right? So the order is for the 9, which has significance among like Christians or Magas, right? And the 3 among the Christians, and then 7 among the Hebrews and the Hindus and so on. So there's an order for like everybody to carry out such an expedition. And again, this is the shuttle, right? And here you could see it's not readily apparent on my camera. I don't know why the colors are changing. But the shuttle is white, and then the bracket around it, you know, the container, is some kind of a yellow or gold or brown or something of the sort, right? Standard procedure. I don't know what that means. It's like a delivery, standard delivery. It's not like a C-section or something. That's what they use by standard procedure, right? You know, it means something here. I don't know what it means. But now I want to make a comment here on Dallas, that he is the president who is JFK, sitting in the White House, controlling the flow of. So this here, those flexible conduits are the control channels, right? You know, departments and so on, control channels, electrical, whatever, and then they also control supplies and so on. So they control the infrastructure of the Nostromo, right, or the United States. So he's in charge here. And that's obviously his other thing here, his other dimension, right? Because this is like two-dimensional movie, right? And these are persons, perhaps, you know, like secretaries, you know, that's how they sit in the Oval Office, right? Now, but here, I think he's oblivious on the financial, political, and economical side. He's oblivious to what is brewing below him, right? You know, the takeover of the United States by certain forces from the East, right? And you know what? Considering all things now, all things considered, man. All right, let's see. That's that. Okay, good. All right, that's, you know, I'm gonna stop now. Okay, and again, this is commentary, and this is the other videos are released. I hope you can watch them because they tell you a lot about what's going on. Today is November 3rd, 24, 6:58 p.m. Have a nice day, and we'll see you on video number 7.